Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Bitcoin morning update. If you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin charts. Yeah, so we have had a nice little pump up this morning. A nice little pump up pretty much to our first downward sloping trend line. Obviously we have this higher time frame downward sloping trend line, but yeah, we've had a pump up to our first one. Just hit the underside of our resistance area, and we are backing off. We are backing off. We are currently backing off and potentially looking like yet another lower high relative to obviously this high, this high, this high, and this high. Yeah, read into that what you will. We obviously have these tests of this support level and this potential descending triangle formation that we are getting very mature in. We are getting into the business end of this this formation of this triangle. What we kind of do have going for us is that, well, obviously it has to break. It's only about a 2/3 chance that it will necessarily have to break. So we have still got a chance we can break to the upside. And the thing is, when we are at the upside of the triangle, we obviously have a higher percentage chance of breaking above than we do then when we are at the lower end. And we are currently at the higher end. We have actually broken above where we have this trend line drawn in and pulled back into it. So yeah, it is game time. It is an inflection point here. It is do we bounce off the upper side of this trend line, continue up, break our way through this resistance area, past this previous high, and carry on in our merry way up towards basically 46, 47, and 48,000 dollars, or are we gonna get slammed down here? At which point you would have to err on the side of bearishness, and then we potentially be out for the count within this formation and get slammed below this this support level that has been severely tested and weakened, because that's what happens when you keep testing a support area. The people that bought here, 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 they run out of ammo. They run out of ammo, and then yeah, eventually there are no buyers, and then we do obviously come lower. That is the psychology behind the descending triangle. Obviously, the upside of the triangle is like they can buy us up to here, then they can't buy us as high, they can't buy us up as high again, and as in they are basically getting weaker. But I didn't need to tell you guys that. You guys knew that. But yeah, we are at an important point. So we could very easily from where we are get supported on the upper side of this downward sloping trend line, and then take another nice leg up. At which point things will look very different. Very different. Another leg up from this will take us pretty much would take us through 45,000, and then we would start to look very good. We have got month end and quarter end coming in. So the Bitcoin bulls, I mean, if they can paint this chart, if they can get us a $45,000 plus close, it would actually look pretty good on the higher time frame charts for for continued upside basically into the end of the year. So I think that is what is to play for. I certainly think that is what is to play for, and I mean, if you're a bear, if you're a big Bitcoin bear, maybe you just want to allow them to push us up, to paint that chart, to give us a good look in close, and then at some point bear trappers later into obviously well, it's not later, but in early next month. But we shall see. Lots of interesting dynamics. Crypto it can trade differently at times. It can trade those good old BART patterns. You don't really find them in other charts, but yeah, I mean, we could get a BART pattern. We come down, we bounce around the bottom end, and then we BART back up to around 48,000, and then continue on upwards. If we do that, if we do that, we could then end up painting what would be quite a large inverted head and shoulders. If we then ease off, paint basically the right shoulder, and then start to move back up. So we could be, that is a highly speculative prediction. But yeah, maybe we do bar back up, and we do then ease off, and then we do paint an inverted head and shoulders, and then we do, yeah, I mean, realistically, we'd have some pretty juicy targets at that point. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The task at hand is clearly, at the very least, holding around this 43,000, and then basically pushing above 45,000 today. These are very small moves. For basically Bitcoin, for like what it can do, its volatility. Don't forget, we just basically had a move from about 41,000 to 44,000 in pretty much one 4-hour candle. So that is a $3,000 move. A $3,000 move here takes us up to 46,000. So and don't forget, that's in pretty much a 1 4-hour candle. So yeah, we can potentially make the move here, but yeah, I mean, don't obviously rule out all the bearish. As much as optimistic as I can be, let's not ignore the bearish looking nature of this, regardless of whatever sort of BART patterns we can get in crypto, regardless of the fact that we are currently looking to potentially break out the upside of this descending triangle. So let's have a look at the Ethereum Satoshi pairing. It is having a little bounce along with this, but obviously a weak bounce, as you can see, so not necessarily an indication of increased risk taking. The Ethereum USD pairing having a little bit of a weak bounce here as well. But let's have a look at where all the business is going on. This is the DXY. I mean, literally, we have drawn this pattern in, and we have spoke about if we get above this here, which we have, if we get above this resistance, we have been saying that obviously 44.5 is literally going to be pretty likely. It is obviously the target within this pattern. Without obviously being the optimist and wanting to put a bullish spin on this is a pretty aggressive move in the dollar that has, and obviously Bitcoin has moved up nicely this morning. So obviously, what dollar being up here, we are literally just a stone's throw from hitting these targets. At which point we could then. We could certainly expect a pullback. Could that pullback be a complete reversal all the way to the bottom? It could be, but at the very least, could it be a pullback to around mid 93s for sure? And at which point then Bitcoin could get another leg up based on that. It could get some extra upward impetus. So what I'm kind of saying is Bitcoin's had a nice move up in the face of this pretty aggressive move up in the DXY. But don't forget that Bitcoin pretty much trades as a commodity. If we are seeing dollar strength, because interest rates are going to have to rise because of inflation is higher, inflation is good for Bitcoin. So inflation, though, incidentally, isn't good for the dollar. The dollar is an interesting. This is relatively at the moment just looking like noise within a wider downward trend for the dollar, because inflation pretty much being highest in the US is actually dollar bearish, and obviously increasing their trade deficits and their fiscal spending is also bearish for the dollar. So it does seem like we are getting a sort of a fake out move to the upside, whilst we have obviously a lot of bearish things coming in for this asset. But nonetheless, the chart here is basically going to hit a nice level, a nice resistance level, where that could be it done and dusted. You can see that this line is in thick, because it is an important line, and you can see the pattern that we have also coincides roughly with that also. We are at an optimal point for this literally to roll over and ultimately make its way down to an 89 handle and potentially lower. But obviously we shall have to see. All this Evergrande stuff is not as important as what people think. I mean, it is potentially very bad for China, but it isn't in the respect people are trying to compare it to Lehman's. Lehman's was obviously a problem with complex traded derivatives that basically went no bid and had instant basically price discovery to practically zero. That is very different to the price discovery within the Chinese property market. That is a much more of a long-winded affair to basically find its bottom. So yeah, I mean, mean, they're not really comparable in the velocity of their moves and the impact they can have. So I mean, just in that respect, it isn't even if it was as big as a deal as Lehman's. The fact it is going to be so much more of a slowly unwinding position compared to literally the instant no bid. For that obviously was a problem that Lehman's had. Then yeah, so obviously it's going to play out over time. So yeah, what I'm saying is it's not as bad. It isn't as bad for the markets as what people are thinking. But yeah, dollar strength here. But yeah, like I said, this is a very large move. We have to expect a pullback at some point. That pullback can only be a pullback. It doesn't have to be a reversal. I suspect it will be a reversal, but that's just me imprinting my views on my analysis. But we are hitting an input. We are going to hit important levels where, like I said, at least a pullback, if not a reversal. Stocks having a little bit of a pump back above our important horizontal here. So if they can start to make progress today and tomorrow, things will start to look better. Then I think over the weekend people may start to calm down. The 10-year is just hovering up about where it is. Potentially gonna just enter into this basically range it was in previously. I mean, we might need to draw. Well, we won't actually. But yeah, it is basically back into this previous area price action. What else? What else do you want to look at? Nascoin obviously is struggling in the face of increasing bond yields because, well, that's basically what it does. Tech stocks are predominantly growth stocks, and growth stocks don't do well in high yield environments. They do better in low yield, which is why they've been doing so well. So obviously this is real yields, not just at the actual yield. But yeah, what else do we want to look at? Not much. Oh yeah, let's look at these precious metal markets getting whacked. Still we're getting whacked. I mean, again, this is just a function of the increase in dollar strength and increase in bond yields. So yeah, precious metals getting whacked. Gold also. If we get the gold one up, gold here as well. Yeah, gold getting hit as well. I mean, you know my views on these. These are buys for buys and holds. So it's just a buying opportunity to buy more. So that is not a bad thing if you want to look at it from that perspective. Stochastics then, let's have a look at those stochastics. We do know that it was looking a bit difficult yesterday, but yeah, 4 hour did its job for us. 4 hour is basically getting us up to that level, getting us up to holding, and it still has a nice amount of room to run. Come on, 10 hour, you got to be looking better today. It has to be looking better now. Let's have a look at this. Yes, it has turned up from a very low level, so 10 hour could potentially give us that support, could potentially help us break above the top end of that triangle and get us up to around that well, so let's call it $45,000 monthly and quarterly close. That is what we need. That is what needs to be printed on the chart. I can't stress the importance of painting these charts at the moment. A lot of people are heavily invested in this quite illiquid market, obviously for Wales, quite a liquid market. So I honestly can't see them not painting these charts up to around a $45,000 plus close. Literally, what are we on? What is the end of this? It is tomorrow. Oh no, it is today. It's today. So today then, so there you go, today. Well, let's see. Daily looking to turn back up from a low level. 2-day diving, but getting to a low level where it has to kind of turn back over. 3-day looking potentially turn back over from a low level. 5-day is coming down, and weekly is just turn back over, and bi-weekly is coming up as well. So yeah, like I said, they can paint those charts. This is as wild as much. This is just how crypto is basically the Wild West. If they can paint these charts and get us basically above here into this quarterly and monthly closure, we will look fine. We will actually look pretty good. And yeah, so I mean, it's not really a good way to base your analysis, but I pretty much think that is basically what is going to happen. So obviously it's not financial advice, so don't obviously take it as such. But yeah, there we go. It will be an interesting day today. Obviously stock markets continue upwards will help. Obviously an easing off of that dollar. It does look like it's put the last squeeze now up to roughly around the targets we're looking at, potentially front running these major targets. So yeah, let's see if the stocks recover, dollar eases off, and then we do get those that nice move up in Bitcoin today. So yeah, there we go, guys. There is your heavy dose of crystal ball optimism for the day. Thank you for listening, guys. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.